So One Fair Wage is going to be coming up. Thank you to those people who have made some donations. Vivi for Phillips, thank you so much for your donation. We really appreciate that. And without further ado, here's Jennifer from One Fair Wage. Thank you for joining us, Jennifer.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me here today. I'm actually in the Capitol right now. We're delivering thank you letters. So my name is Jenny. I'm the New York lead organizer for One Fair Wage. One Fair Wage is an organization. We're trying to end some minimum wage in the United States. As you know, time and time again, tipped workers are left out of the minimum wage fight, and we're here to change that.
Awesome. Yes, yes. I know you guys are doing really great work, and do you mind telling us a little bit more about like what the sub minimum wage really is?
Well, I'm a former bartender, and I was living off of some minimum wage. I was making $5 an hour, so everything was based on tips. So that's really like it's like a toxic work environment. We don't have any protections. We're dependent mostly on tips, so we get a lot of harassment. It's something that really needs to change. We should be getting a living wage on top of tips, because right now it feels like they're just dependent on tips, and that's not sustainable for the future. And it's currently, I want to say, so it's currently in 43 states still have some minimum wage. So something that, it came from the emancipation for them to be able to get free slaves for tip workers. So I think it's something that we need to change.
Wow.
2023.
That's something that Elisa was just talking about earlier, how our economy is still based on enslaved folks' work, their hard labor. And even the tip system, I didn't know that. So that's where that comes from.
Yeah, no, and then there's so many loopholes where like restaurants are supposed to pay you if you make less than minimum wage, they're supposed to pay you the difference. They don't do that. They didn't do that to me for 2 years, so this is something that's, and we have so many restaurants and bars in New York City, New York State. So,
Yeah, I myself was also, I worked at a restaurant. I was a busser and a server, so I definitely know a little bit about that. And I also never received, I don't think you're always allowed to receive time and a half.
No.
In certain
Never.
places, right?
Never.
Right.
Never.
That
So
is just super sad. And one of the worst things that I remember going in there as a worker was that they would try to convince you that you couldn't take breaks, which is wage theft, right? Like that's the biggest form of wage theft, is telling you, go clock out for your break and then come back. Like clock out just so that you can say you clocked out, but you're still gonna do work.
yeah.
And how prevalent is that in your experience?
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, how prevalent is like that sort of wage stuff, like when you force people not to take breaks?
I mean, that comes with the service industry, right? That's what they say, like that. I mean, for me, they said I'm a bartender. I couldn't take breaks. So I was working 9 to 10 hours, no breaks at all. So, yeah.
So what are some of the specific campaigns that One Fair Wage is currently working on?
Well, this is my 3rd week here, so I'm still a little new, but I've been thrown into the dungeons. We're doing a new campaign, Stop Leaving Us Out. Because as you know, the 21.75, they were going to increase the minimum wage to 21.75 this time around. It excluded tip workers. So this morning we had a big banner drop in the Capitol that said Stop Leaving Us Out. And we're going to come back next Monday to do a big rally for Mother's Day. So we encourage mothers, service workers, and activists to come join us. We're going to have a big day of action in Albany. And I'm going to drop it in the chat if people want to sign up. And transportation from New York City will be provided. This is going to be one of our last push before we, the session ends.
Okay, wow, awesome. That sounds really cool. And so when is that happening? On Mother's Day?
Mother's Day. I tried to put it in the chat and I couldn't, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Do you guys have something on your website or your profile?
On my profile, yeah. I think you guys could find it on my profile.
Okay. If folks could real kindly just go to One Fair Wage's profile, which should be linked on here, you can find some of the information that Jennifer's talking about, and make sure to sign up to go to this big rally, which is going to be really important, because that's true. Every time that like the minimum wage goes up, it goes up for everyone but us. Well, for tipped workers. I keep saying us because I, was part of a restaurant worker at one point. But yeah, like that's something that people don't usually talk about, because you're like, oh, but you make more money in tips.
No, yeah. and we noticed that in the pandemic, I went in bartending and during the pandemic, wages
Mm-hmm.
were low. People were not tipping. So
Mm-hmm.
it was really, I was going home sometimes with $20 in tip, less than minimum wage. You know, it's terrible system that we got
Right.
to change. So,
Oh my God. Yeah. Is there anything else you'd want to tell us about like your work or your own experience in the labor movement?
I'm just new to this. I'm, looking forward to getting any questions.
All right. Yeah. Let's see if we can get any questions. We'll open it up for questions from the public now. Anyone on Instagram or Facebook, wherever you're watching this from, that has any questions for Jenny? You prefer Jenny, right?
Yeah, Jenny's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yes. Let's see if we got something on Facebook. No, we don't. This is about providing the shirt, the link to the shirt. So all the shirts, the one that I'm wearing today, they're all on our website. You can drop a link. You can use the link on our profile to get to those. And they're minimum of a $25 donation. But yeah. Jennifer, thank you for coming in today and talking to us
Thank you,
about One
guys.
Fair Wage. Before you leave, I do want to encourage some of the folks who are on here to do a quick donation to Brand Workers fundraiser to continue supporting New York City food manufacturing workers to organize. So it's the back end of like the food industry, right? These are people who supply the bread and other stuff like that. And just $25 goes a long way to supporting workers. That helps provide at least one meeting where we can help train workers to become worker leaders who will then train other workers to be able to organize, right? And also for them to develop strategic plans that will work for them. And it looks like we do have a question here from Vivi for Phillips. I know that as a tip earner, my tax rate on reported tips are higher. Is that true to your knowledge?
I do not know that from my knowledge, no.
Mm,
Because
mm,
I used to get paid cash tips, like they used to pay me
mm,
cash to avoid that.
right. I see. I didn't know that. Well, once again, if you want to find out more about what's going on with the restaurant industry with tipped workers and sub minimum wage, make sure to follow One Fair Wage and stay tuned. I know that you guys have a lot of really awesome stuff. I know you guys were working on a campaign with Applebee's, which has some very weird kind of like pay structure,
Yeah,
depending on. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us
yes.
a little bit
So
more.
they pay folks in Manhattan more than they pay folks in Brooklyn and the Bronx. So
Mhm.
hourly, you get paid more base pay. Hmm.
Right, right, and that's like across the country. Really, I remember Juan Carlos was telling me about this. That basically in more affluent or like quote unquote whiter communities where there were Applebee's, the workers were paid a lot more than workers in like communities that weren't as affluent, right? That like were
Yeah.
predominantly people of color. They would get paid a lot less, and also the like kind of like the benefits were a lot different as well. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
That's why
So if you
we need
want
to pass one fair wage. We need to pass one
That's
fair
right.
wage. Everyone needs like a living wage and protection as well.
That's right. Right. Yeah. So if you want to find out more, and stay tuned with the Applebee's campaign and now this new campaign, the Don't Leave Us Out campaign. Am I getting that right?
Yes,
Don't
don't
Leave Us Out.
leave us out.
Right. Don't Leave Us Out campaign. Which on Mother's Day there's going to be a big rally in Albany, and if you want to get signed up, they are providing free transportation. So definitely go on One Fair Wages page. On there you'll find the information that you need to be able to make it to that rally. And thank you once again, Jenny, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the information. Have a
Bye,
good
guys.
one. Bye.